Hey mamas and mamas to be, welcome to our 30-week prenatal class as part of our yoga therapy prenatal series. I'm Jasmine Leventhal, your certified yoga therapist, and I am 30 weeks pregnant. So even if you're not quite 30 weeks or a little beyond, this practice can suit you. We're going to be creating some more space in the body so baby has more room to grow and we feel a little bit more open, and also continue to calm and soothe any kind of nervousness, fear, or anxiety or a sense of overwhelm that we might be experiencing at this point in our pregnancy. So go ahead and jump into something comfy and join me on your mat. Welcome back. So for those of you who've been following along, I'm working a more gentle practice as we head into our third trimester, and we'll start to focus again on creating space around the hips and lower back and still developing a little strength so we have that in our bodies so we can work through our labor and delivery, but a lot of focus around breath and just being really gentle and compassionate to ourselves as we head into the final weeks of our pregnancy. So let's go ahead and get started in this nice cross-legged seated position. I have a blanket now layered across my mat because I find that the extra cushion is really comforting. So if that's something you'd like, please offer that. If there's a pillow or any other prop you'd like to use underneath your seat to help elevate your hips and neutralize your spine, please offer that. And we can soften the eyes to close. If you're feeling really ungrounded, again, maybe that sense of overwhelm or fear or anxiousness about what's to come, let's go ahead and place one hand on the heart and one hand on the baby. Just grounding into your body, refocusing, reconnecting back with yourself. If you're like, I am ready, bring it on, it might feel really nice to keep an open posture with the arms resting down by the knees or thighs. Softening the eyes to close and just starting those smooth, even breaths. And I love to bring in some visualization here. So as I breathe, I think about all that breath, all that oxygen, and all those nutrients going right to baby. And as I exhale, I'm releasing anything that's not serving. Maybe there's some worry or assumptions about what could happen, and things we just don't need to worry about just yet. So again, on those inhales, thinking about bringing in those nutrients, that oxygen, and that fresh breath to baby. And on those exhales, ridding any unnecessary worry, fear, tension, or stress. And we know that things are going to be unpredictable, and part of our practice can be reconnecting back with that safe space within ourselves that no matter what happens in the weeks ahead, we have this idea that everything is going to be okay. And our labor and delivery is going to be smooth and offer a healthy baby on the other end. Just finding those nice, even breaths. And then when you're ready, you can continue with the eyes closed or blink open. We're going to just take those gentle hip circles, shifting the body forward, over to one side, backward, opposite side, forward. And so just kind of working into the spine, working into the rib cage, working into the hips. And this is a pretty simple movement, so I like to have my eyes closed as I do it, as long as it's not making you dizzy or feel nauseous. Sometimes I help closing my eyes, allows the attention to continue to move inward, kind of removes me from the outside world and the distractions that surround us. Good. Go ahead, switch your direction. And moving with the breath is so important. Instead of speeding up our breath to match our movement, it's more of slow down the movement and breathe with it. And these are tools you're going to want to bring into your labor and delivery if you're planning on using a birthing ball or moving around. These are great tools to bring in some of these gentle movements to help move and release some stagnant energy in the body. And I always find that movement helps reduce the aches and pains, even during my menstrual cycle. So, when I had one. So, it was always a go-to for me. And coming back to center. Good. You're going to stay sitting cross-legged. I'm just going to shift my body so you can see what's actually happening from a different perspective. I think it'll be easier. We're going to inhale. Palms are going to come to touch. Press the fingertips forward, round out the back. And then start to release index fingers skyward, big reach. And then on your exhale, releasing hands all the way back behind you, fingertips towards the floor. Take an inhale, pressing your chest and belly forward, maybe shifting your gaze. And then next exhale, wrapping the hands all the way upward and back to heart center. So we'll do that again. Inhale, press the fingertips forward, round the spine, drop the chin. Follow that breath, fingertips reach skyward. And then next, exhale, releasing your hands all the way down behind your hips. Inhale, pressing hips and heart forward, maybe shifting that gaze. Good. Exhale, arms reach overhead. And hands come down to the center of the heart. Good. Inhale, driving fingertips forward, round the spine, drop the chin. Next, in-breath, fingertips skyward. Exhale, sweeping the hands all the way down, resting them onto your mat behind you. Inhale, pressing hips and heart up towards the ceiling, lean back, open your chest. And then exhale, sweeping the arms upward and back to center. Good, one more. Inhale, drive the fingertips forward. Next breath, reach the fingertips skyward. Exhale, sweeping the hands all the way down, back behind the hips. Inhale, heart presses forward and up, belly lifts, nice stretch here. Exhale, hands are going to reach upward, palms touch, and coming to heart center. Really nice job. Good, releasing your hands down. Let's come into a tabletop position. So we'll glide onto our hands and our knees. Good. Untucking the toes, pressing down through the tops of the feet. Inhale, dropping the belly, scoop the heart forward. Finding this cow back. Exhale, curling the toes, shifting your hips down towards your heels. Good. So you get that nice plantar stretch in the base of the feet. Inhale, come forward, untuck the toes. Belly falls, chest lifts. Exhale, curling the toes, hips to heels. Now this has been a popular stretch of mine. And I've been teaching this quite a bit because, as many of you know, if you've been following along, I've had some pain in the bottom of my feet throughout pregnancy. So I love the stretch. Exhale, curling the toes. Hips glide back towards heels. Nice. One more. Inhale, shifting forward, dropping the belly, scooping the heart. Exhale, curling the toes and extending the hips back towards the heels. Good. Inhale, coming forward. We're going to take the knees nice and wide and then shifting the body forward, dropping the belly, bring the soles of the feet to touch and pull the heels up towards your glutes, lifting your heart. So cobra variation here. Nice big stretch across the belly, a nice juicy stretch into the front of the hip flexors. Taking an in breath here. Exhale, shifting back. Child's pose, hips glide all the way down towards your heels. Good. So I take a nice wide child's pose these days to make room for belly. Inhale, gliding forward, dropping hips, lifting heart, pulling the heels up towards the glutes. Exhale, sink it back, hips to heels. This feels delicious, so I'm going to say let's do 3 more together. Inhale, coming forward, dropping the belly, scoop the heart, heels pull up towards the glutes. Exhale, sink back, hips to heels. Good. Last 2. Inhale takes you forward. And I have a little micro bend in my elbows just so I don't lock out my joints. Exhale takes you back. And last round. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale takes you back. Good. Pausing here. Starting to feel a little stretch. Go ahead, walk your hands over to the right edge of your mat. Peeling your left hip back, finding a stretch into those ribs. And then next, inhale, come through center, walking your hands over to the right, to the left, pulling your right hip back. And inhale, coming back to center. Forward and up, tabletop position. So I scooted my knees in so they're underneath my hips. I'm going to go ahead and grab my blocks as we work to step a foot through. Again, I find it super important to have my hands elevated, especially now. I get a little stuck trying to step my foot through. So go ahead and find something similar. You can take the blocks any height that suits your body. And then as you inhale, reaching the right leg back behind you. Exhale, drawing the knee forward and scooting that foot up to meet your thumbs. Now, even walking the right foot out to the right to create more space for baby and belly is welcomed. You don't want to be directly on that left knee, so go ahead, tuck your left toes, drop your left knee back an inch or 2. And then we'll just kind of sink forward and backwards. So in and out. And that's just really to warm up through the hip flexor. And then find a pause. So sink the weight forward, finding that nice stretch into the back of the back leg here, so the left hip flexor. And then we'll climb the hands to the top of the right thigh and start to pull up into our half lunge. Good, working a little balance and stability, which might feel a little off, especially this far along in pregnancy, with the belly pulling forward. So starting to find, again, that focal point for stability. And then reaching the arms up overhead as you inhale. Good, go ahead and hook your thumbs, right thumb in front of left. Inhale, lean back, open your chest. And then as you exhale, try not to move your arms, just lengthen your torso forward. Good. Inhale, come back up, half lunge. Exhale, lengthen forward. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, lengthen forward. Last one, keeping biceps towards the ears. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lengthen forward. Good. Softly release your hands down towards your blocks. We're going to work a straight right leg, gliding the right heel forward, and most likely walking our blocks back so they're higher up towards the thigh or the knee. Extend your chest forward, peeling your hips back. And that should feel like a pretty nice hamstring stretch, curling your toes up towards the face. So the front leg is not limp. We're curling the toes towards the face, keeping that right foot active. Good, and we'll take a walk with our hands. So walking your hands or your blocks to the outside of your right foot and maybe slightly off your mat. Working a little deep stretch into the left side of your body. So deeply stretching into those left ribs. Good, one more breath here. And then slowly walking your hands back. Realign the leg with the blocks or your hands, and then re-bend back into your right knee. Bringing the blocks up to the front of the foot, push down, gliding that right leg out and through, and lower the right knee down. Good. Soften your blocks off to the side, placing your hands back on your mat. Very traditional cat-cow here. Inhale, drop the belly, scoop the heart forward. Exhale, curl and round your spine. Good. One more. Inhale, drop the belly, heart pulls forward. Exhale, round into spine. Good. Coming back to center, bring your blocks back into play. Whatever height you used before that's most comfortable, take that again. And then on the inhale, the left leg's going to reach back behind you. Exhale, left knee to chest, gently stepping that foot forward. Good. Tucking your back toes, drop your right knee back, and we'll move in and out. All right, just warming up again through the hips and hip flexors. Really nice. Pause, sinking into your left hips, lifting your heart, maybe walking that left foot over to the left to create a little more space for baby and belly. And then stacking your hands to the top of the thigh. Sink forward, inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. And go ahead and hook your thumbs. Like now we'll do the opposite. So left thumb is in front of right. Inhale, peel the arms back, lift your chest. Try not to move the arms away from the ears. On the exhale, lengthen the torso forward. Good. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, lengthen forward. Two more. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lengthen forward. And last one. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lengthen forward. Good. Soften your hands down towards your blocks and shift your hips back, working a hamstring stretch into your left leg. So you can glide that left heel forward, scooch it forward. Extend your heart to the tops of your toes and be mindful that that left foot is not just dangling, that we're really staying active in order to encourage a deeper stretch through the back of the leg and some stability here. Nice job. One more. Inhale. Exhale, bend back into your left knee and walk your hands up to meet your blocks. Oh, kidding. Go back and let's take that side bend. So find your hamstring stretch once again, re-lengthen the leg forward, and then walk your hands over to the left edge of your mat. Pull the hips back. Good. I was wondering why my left side felt a little longer than my right. So now working that same stretch into the right side ribs, I was like, something's off. Good. Now let's walk our hands back to center, realign our leg, and rebend into that left knee. Good. Pushing into the block, slide the left leg out and through, and lower the knee down. Good. Setting your blocks off to the side, placing your hands back on your mat. As you inhale, drop the belly, scoop the heart forward. Exhale, cat your back, rounding into your spine. One more. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. Good. Pausing here for a moment. Let's take an inhale in our tabletop, floating the right arm up. This could feel really good. Circle those wrists. And other direction. And then we're going to thread the arm through, gliding the right arm underneath left. Now I like to use a block here to support my head. And then if it feels good, you can always extend your left arm forward. It might feel better to keep the left elbow bent to give you a little more stability. You decide. Good. Taking one more breath here. And then very gently bringing that left hand back towards the face and sliding the right arm out and through, all the way up overhead. And exhale, hand down. Good. Switch. Inhale, left arm up. Go ahead and circle those wrists 3 times in one direction, 3 times in the other. And then on the exhale, begin to thread that left arm underneath the right, bending into right elbow, maybe head on block. And then extend the right hand forward if you want to have a little more space or if you want to create a little more space. Good. One more inhale. And then very gently climbing that right hand back, sliding the left arm out and through, and releasing the left hand down. I'm already sweating. This is why a gentle practice can be very challenging in your 3rd trimester. Okay, let's take some yogi pregnancy push-ups. So we're going to inhale, shift to center. Exhale, bend the elbows. You can lower halfway down. You can tap your chin. Inhale, back up. Exhale, hips to heels. Separate those knees. I feel like I have to separate my knees like off my mat these days. Good. Inhale, come forward. Realign the knees. Shift into a modified plank. Exhale, bend the elbows. And maybe all the way down, tapping chin. Inhale, back up. Exhale, release into that child's pose. Good. One more. Inhale, coming forward. Realigning the knees. Exhale, bend the elbows. Pause. And maybe tap the chin. Inhale, come up. Exhale, tuck the toes. This time, let's move into a downward facing dog, extending your hips up and back. And widen your feet a couple inches just so you have a little more space for belly. Pressing into those hands. And then as you inhale, bending both knees nice and deep, lift the hips. Exhale, straighten the legs. Good. Inhale, bend the knees nice and deep. Exhale, straighten the legs. And last round, inhale, bend the knees. Exhale, straighten the legs. Nice full breath in. Exhale, knees to the earth. Good. Coming onto a seated position. So we're going to wrap the legs around. And we're going to take seated figure 4 stretch. I am sweating. I am out of breath. So, seated figure 4, bending both knees, feet planted. I'm going to start crossing left ankle over right knee or thigh, and then hands are behind you to brace you. Open up your chest, and just slowly walking the knee or the thigh closer to the belly. And breathing here. So again, we're not like slouching back, because if we do that, you're not going to really feel much. So pull the front of your shoulders back, lift your heart forward, flexing into that top foot. Good, one more breath. And then as you exhale, just straighten your right leg forward. So you're in a seated L shape. So the legs are still the same. You just have straightened the right leg forward. And you can maybe pull that left heel up towards the crease of your right hip. Inhale, reaching the arms skyward. Exhale, fold in. Go ahead and catch the toes. If you can't catch the toes, just have the hands alongside the leg. If you have something to strap around the front of the foot, you can use it. But again, we're not crouching back or slouching over. We're extending forward. And having the leg this way, I just feel a little more into my hip versus like a seated tree pose. That feels good too, but I think it's a nice transition from opening up with a figure 4. Nice, one more inhale. And then as you exhale, very gently walking your hands back towards your hips, uncross that top leg, straighten it forward, give the legs a little shake, and then rebend into both knees. So right ankle is going to cross over left knee or thigh. Go ahead and flex into the foot. And I already know that my right hip is much more open than my left. So I already feel that here, which is a good indicator. Like if you feel these slight imbalances in your body, which we all have, maybe you hold one side, the side that feels tighter, a little longer to help create more balance and more space where you really need it. So just some things to learn about your practice. Last couple breaths here. Keep lifting into the chest, pressing the hips towards the legs. And then beginning to glide that left leg forward and down, coming into that same seated variation we just took, but now we have that figure 4 cross with the left leg straight. Inhale, arms reach skyward. Exhale, fold forward. Good, slowly coming back up to that seat. Unstack the right leg from the left and give both legs a nice little shake. Really good. So I'm going to rotate my body forward. And let's come into another hip stretch. This is called a fire log or a double pigeon, and it requires pretty open hips. So there's a lot of things you can do to start to work your way there. But again, great thing to start practicing for labor and delivery. We want those nice open muscles around our hips. So it's a lot easier, right? And we're not in pain, especially in those hip flexors as well. So that's why those low lunges are great. But for this fire log, so similar. So if you can't get there, if you're having pain in front of the knees, you'll just do a simple cross-legged seat. Totally fine. Otherwise, you're going to take your top foot, let's start with our right foot, and stack it right over the left shin. So it looks like two fire logs are being stacked. If you have a practice, you know single pigeon, this is double pigeon, two legs in pigeon pose. So oftentimes if we're not super open around the hips, we're gonna have this pretty big gap between the knee and the bottom foot. And that's where your prop, whatever it is that you may be using, like a block, could be really handy to rest. And it's going to give you some support so you don't just have a lot of pressure moving into your joint. So this is a variation I love. I've been working on this for quite some time, so my knee is able to go all the way down. So that's how I'm going to practice. But this just might be fine. I already feel quite a bit of sensation working into my outer right hip. This is a great place to give yourself a little hip massage. If you want to open up here. And then if you feel you have more space, you're a little more flexible, you can start to walk the hands forward, folding over those shins. So again, if you're working on this at home and this is not feeling right, move back to that simple cross-legged seated position that we started with at the beginning of our practice. So we're gonna hold here. Sometimes I like to wiggle side to side. Another great variation if you're just starting to introduce the stretch into your body is to have the opposite hand behind you. So the left hand would be behind you, kind of pressing your hips forward, and you would have that support underneath the right knee. So this is good too. You can also guide the leg by placing your right hand to the inner right thigh and kind of working that hip open. And you're not pressing down on the joint. We're working open from the inner thigh to the outer thigh to kind of spiral the leg externally, to open externally. Okay? And taking one more full breath here. And slowly coming back to your seat, wherever you are, remove the props. Carefully unstack the leg. Good. Plant both feet and just drop the knees one side to the other, like windshield wiper the legs. Hands are resting somewhere behind you, just to kind of shake out the hips. And then we're going to go into it again with the opposite shin in front. So we did warm up with that figure 4 stretch to get into the hips, and also with our lunges and with our back bend variation. So we've done some hip work. And then go ahead and start to stack. Now again, you might be here, and in that case, you can place a block, one hand behind you, and just work here. You can work in that cross-legged seated position, or find full fire log or double pigeon pose and flex into that top foot. So this might feel pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and give myself that little hip glute massage because it feels so good, and why not? And this is good to apply some like counter pressure right? A tool that our husbands need to learn for when we're in labor. Apply the counter pressure to the hips and back during contractions. Keep telling my husband that. Good, and then you can stay here, begin to fold. A great place to start to close the eyes. Nice and slowly walking your hands back towards your hips or your shins if you folded, carefully unstacking or uncrossing the legs and giving them a nice stretch forward. Good, and a nice little pat, a nice little shake. And then cross the legs once again, just simple cross-legged seat, so it doesn't matter which shin is in front. Inhale, floating your right arm up, nice big stretch. Exhale, gentle twist. So some of you might like to land the hand towards the knee, as long as you're not twisting too much around the center of the belly. I feel more comfortable with the hand at the center of the shin. I'm going to sweep my left hand behind me and press my heart open and shift my gaze towards this back wall. Nice, and slowly coming back to center. Good. Just switch the cross of your legs. Inhale, left arm reaches. Exhale, finding that gentle spinal rotation. Hand lands to the shin. Maybe some of you take it to the opposite knee. And then start to shift your gaze, pressing your chest and hips forward. Good, one more inhale here. Exhale, unwind, come back to center. Really nice. Go ahead and restack the feet. Once again, find those windshield wiper legs. Just lazily dropping the knees from one side to the other. Good. Now I'm going to go ahead, I have a wall right here and I find that to be really supportive, at least for today. So I'm going to go ahead and take my blocks. I'm going to stack 2 blocks, one on top of the other, push them against the wall, and I'm going to go ahead and sit on those blocks. So if you have something similar, find that, go ahead and sit down. I'm just going to squat down here. Just shift these slightly forward. So I'm in like a yogi squat position, but this is actually where I'm gonna rest. It feels really good for me to open up my inner hips and kind of just let my belly hang out in between my thighs. And this is gonna be my meditation or my resting pose as we close off the practice. So if you'd like to take something like this, go ahead and find something that's going to elevate your hips. Place it against the wall, using that wall as a back support so we don't have to feel like we're lifting ourselves up or holding ourselves up. Just feeling really nice and open around the center of the hips. I'm going to soften my eyes to close, moving back into those gentle breaths. Feeling the back of my spine get long. The front of my body expanding. And again, I love bringing in those visualizations of where I see the breath moving into my body and into my baby. And then also noticing places in my body that might feel tight and stiff, and also offering breath and space into those areas. And maybe some of you like to visualize what your birth experience might be like, how you ideally want it to go, and just really creating that sense of calm in the body around the experience that you're hoping to have. And also knowing that it's okay if everything does not go as planned. It's perfectly okay. And there's this sense of trust between you and your baby. You're welcome to continue with breath, visualization, and meditation for as long as you like. I'm going to go ahead and close off our practice here. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-week practice. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe. I would love to continue sharing and have you joining in on the journey. And if you're a returning mama, so happy that you are on this journey with me. Please comment on this video, ask questions, and share with our community. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.